Present. Call the October 27th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
John Marshall.
Here.
Dan O'Haley.
Here.
Joe Sanders.
Here.
Chad Jeffries.
Here.
Rich Day.
Here.
Mike Conquest.
Here.
Laura Solomon.
Here.
Okay, we have all members present this evening. Next item of business will be approval of minutes. We're in your packet. Any corrections, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I didn't read them, I didn't see anything.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Dan O'Haley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Laura Solomon.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes. All right, we don't have any old business on the agenda tonight. New business. 25-35 Providence Summer Tree LLC petitioner owner requests a primary plat for Summer Tree Phase 3B, southwest quadrant of 101st and Avenue in Colorado. Please state your name and address for the record.
Mark Paul, 155 Wellington Drive, Bloomingdale, Illinois.
John Carroll, President of Providence Real Estate Development, 200 West 22nd Street, Lombard, Illinois.
Okay. That's what you'd like to do.
Over there, can you guys see it? There you go, Mark.
Is this supposed to show up on one of these screens or?
If you go into the Zoom, hit share.
So here with this.
Old computer too. Leave that. Oh, there you go. It's up now.
Nice. Awesome.
Okay. This should be a pretty simple one. This is just 9 lots total. These are a couple of fill-in areas of an existing Summer Tree, where the first portion is on the south end is the 6 lots that go, as you recall, we cooperated, worked with Altoff Homes to make a connection to their neighborhood, their new neighborhood to the south. So that's this area down here. That's the 6 lots along there. And then in the upper section here, there was a originally planned in Summer Tree was this road that just now we're showing as a cul-de-sac with the 3 lots on it. Originally, the plan was it was going to connect all the way across the wetland and go to the east, and that was all abandoned afterwards. So this is finishing out that cul-de-sac in a way that puts a street in there and finishes the bubble and puts proper drainage and all that kind of stuff in there, you know, going forward. So in the grand scheme of things, pretty small subdivision, but I wanted to try to get these in and try to wrap that up. And then also, it's just Altoff actually already has a street in on the 6 lots already, because that was part of their engineering going forward. This is just platting those lots on both sides of the streets there and the 3 lots at the north. Same lots, R1 zoning, minimum 10,008, I think is the square foot on the lot. Same, basically exactly what's in Summer Tree right now along that road.
Okay. Anything further?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll just.
Josh?
Petitioner is requesting primary plat approval for some of the remaining parcels within the subdivision of the Summer Tree. Proposal is to use 3 parcels that were not previously subdivided or developed. The proposal is for an additional 3 lots to be added to 103rd Place and 6 lots to be added to the southern part of the intersection of California and 105th Avenue. Summer Tree subdivision, designed by Precision Development LLC, originally received approvals between 2018 and 2019. The remaining areas eventually being purchased by Providence with the intention of moving forward with finishing remaining areas. Phase 3B is in front of the commission today, with phase 4 currently under review through the city's process. All notices have been properly sent out by certified mail. The notice has been published in the newspaper. And while there have been no calls of support, there have been numerous calls of registration, with the largest concerns being the quality of the new homes as opposed to the existing properties. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2535.
Okay, bring it back to the board for any questions or comments. Mike?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on your declarations, the covenants,
Sure.
or declaration of covenants, blah, blah, blah. On page 5, and Josh, I may need your help on this. On page 5, you talk about additional property. This is concerning a subdivision plat. And you say, drainage systems, utility, blah, blah, blah. If those are changed, they'd be changed subject to city approval. And then it says, with the exception of minor lot modification. I think that's a gray area. I don't know at what point a lot, a minor change to a lot should come before here or not, and should that be defined in this?
So we actually do have minor changes defined in our ordinance, and it's essentially a change of a lot that would not make a change in the density of the project.
Okay, okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes, it's fine. And those covenants are basically the same as existing summer tree, like we just mirrored them. And it is, but right now we're just going through the timing of whether any future lots are we can actually merge in with summer tree, or whether we have to do a cost sharing arrangement with existing summer tree, but the effect will be so that the costs of monuments and all those kind of things can continue to be shared. And existing summer tree can get the benefit of additional people paying in.
And I may be getting a little carried away on this one, but on page 9, there's a sentence that, and here, I'll get there. We're talking about easements for additional property. And there's an area where the right to maintain any and all wetlands, and the right to drain standing water, and the right to dispense pesticides. I'm a little concerned. Are you saying you're going to drain a wetland?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's it's a general, for lack of a better description, boilerplate on wetlands and how they're maintained, et cetera, which sometimes in normal wetland maintenance, if that were required.
And the same, you're not dumping pesticides in a wetland.
No, and there's actually not any wetlands in these 9 lots. It's just, again,
Okay. Another one, I didn't get a chance to get here early enough and talk to Doug, but if I remember correctly, there was a little issue on a Providence development south of town with the roads. And now they were gonna have to core the roads to prove that they were done correctly. Am I right on that, Doug?
South of town, are we referring to like the Fairwinds?
I'm not sure that this came up after John had his.
So this was a drainage issue off 133rd, which has been corrected, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay,
I don't think it was a
you guys
core
are
roads.
working with the city.
Yes, we're working with the city and making sure that the swale along there is draining properly and that everything was reseeded, and it has all been addressed.
Yep, we did our final inspection. I think there's a couple of line items for these guys to address, but for the most part, that's been addressed, yes.
Okay, now this is the one that concerns me, okay? On page 27, you talk about leasing. There's no restrictions on the number, the whole darn project could be leased. If every house in the project could be leased, there's nothing that restricts the numbers that get released. And then your lease is a minimum of 6 months, which is really a short-term lease. And after 6 months, it goes to a month. It can go by a month lease. this is just my opinion, you guys. We don't need a transient subdivision or a transient community, especially in a spot where you have a community where people have lived there for years. You know, we need a community or a neighborhood where people get to know their neighbors, get to trust and depend on their neighbors, watch their kids grow up, get invested in the town, get involved in the town. This doesn't promote that at all. And as is, I can't support this project unless that gets changed. I've been reading that a lot of the major developers are going to rental subdivision sort of thing, build to rent. And there may be places for that, but I don't believe that this is a place for that. And I would really like to see that change.
Well, I'd like maybe talk about and get a little additional input from the commission on this, because again, what we did for what our goal is to incorporate this into existing Summer Tree, a product that we're building there, et cetera. The language that you're referring to is in the existing Summer Tree declarations. It is hardly a transient neighborhood. Okay, has not caused it to be a transient neighborhood. Okay, that is straight out of the existing Summer Tree Estates declaration. Okay, so we aren't changing or adding something or changing the character of the neighborhood in any way. That's fairly typical language, just to, you know, allow for people renting their home if they buy another home somewhere else or go somewhere. There aren't any restrictions. Again, this is 9 lots out of an existing, I don't even know how many lots there are there, but it's a very small percentage. And again, all we did was take the existing Summer Tree Estates and just duplicate them. And with, I think we communicated to staff that we would either preferably roll this into existing Summer Tree. So it's exactly the, I mean, by having the same declarations that we submitted here, it's exactly the same language. So whether they become part of existing Summer Tree Association or a parallel with it, there would be no difference. It's not, that's all I can say. It's exactly the same as current Summer Tree, which is not a transient neighborhood, has the exact same requirements. And it's fairly typical language. We are not a build to rent builder. We do not currently build any build to rent, nor have we done any build to rent. Okay, I know that the city has approved some build to rent neighborhoods. This is not our intent in any way. My concern with just saying, you know, and again, I don't expect, this is not a big deal, okay, on the 9 lots, but what I would prefer not to do is alter it from existing Summer Tree, because I think that then you have 9 lots that are out there that have different requirements that people have to keep track of, as opposed to making them the same as all the rest of the Summer Tree Estates lots. That would be my concern.
Well, my response in all honesty is 2 wrongs don't make a right. And all we're doing then is enlarging that existing by how many more times? And so it's just my opinion. I'm one voice up here. And yes, we did approve 1 rental home on 65 and 231. A lot of us weren't sure about that. We thought we'd try it. There have been some issues, and that is more of a transient little area where you guys are is not. And I'm just voicing my opinion.
True. And I would be interested in what the commission thinks, because again, I would think that it would be preferable to everybody that these lots just become, as everything else has been added into the existing Summer Tree Estates. Same association, same bylaws, same rules, same requirements, so that from an enforcement standpoint, you don't have different sets of rules out there. That's only where I'm coming from. Not that I feel that there's a need for additional rental housing or whatever. I just think that I think there's a big concern in having some lots hanging out there that are just have exceptions on them in the association, and how you monitor and enforce that. That's
But as I read this, there are ways to change the language in here. There are ways, so the old language could be changed.
Right, but that would require the consent of all the residents out there. I mean, it's, again, I could certainly, I don't know what I know that if we alter the declarations of these particular lots, it will cause a potential issue. Again, with just it being different from all the rest of the lots in the neighborhood. Now, I don't personally, and Providence does not have a concern with, theoretically restricting rentals on these lots, but it's fairly, typical, and I don't just mean just typical of the summer trade. I don't know what else the city has approved relative to declarations, but there is typically the 6 month minimum and, is a fairly typical that even though it's not a Airbnb place or something like that. If people have to lease their house for 6 months, because let's say they go buy another house in Crown Point somewhere else, they want to lease their house while they're in interim housing or something like that. That's why you leave it in there. I don't know what my options are. I don't know what the options would be, again, to have different language just for these lots. But if I would certainly agree to pursue that and see if there's a way that we could do it where these lots do not have that same ability. Okay, but it has the potential for problems down the road. And we've done a lot of associations, all associations are professionally managed. If we've had meetings, so a lot of meetings with the state's homeowners out there. I have myself personally, that's gone very well. We brought in their committee. We met with their committee multiple times, and been responsible
No, hopefully soon. Hopefully sooner or later.
Oh, Laura just texted.
All right.
Hear us.
Run around the building if you like.
Okay, well, that meeting still should not be happening.
I don't deal with computers. Right here, this is it. This is it.
Josh, what would you do if I didn't leave Bulldog Park? What would you do?
I get it, I get it.
Yeah, Laura, she's on.
I think I'm back.
You are.
Can you hear us?
Okay, that was fun, but I'm just glad it wasn't my fault.
We're not, we have.
The lot word.
We've changed a whole bunch of stuff in the last 10 minutes.
Apparently we never stopped live streaming to YouTube, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
We should still be okay. Everything tells me we're back on.
okay. And all the numbers, everybody here? Okay, well, you have anything further or you want to?
Well, just, look. I know we're not talking about a lot of lots here. But when I drove out there today, you guys are working your way south quite a bit. It appeared there was dozers out there and road, there was concrete being poured for a curved road heading south. And so then when you come back for another phase, do you say, well, gosh, this is in the language on this one, so now we got to keep it in the language in that one. Does this persist forever?
This is the last of
Right,
Archer,
right.
right?
Yeah. This is the last of the existing summer tree, which originally was proposed by Precision. The south portion, which is the phase 4 that we're anticipating. I don't think that would be a problem because you have 50 lot grouping together there. We could apply different standards to. I was trying to get the recorded documents, but again, it's, I would say for these 9, I would put them in with this, as Mark has shown, as we've shown on there. All of Summer Tree is all of this area, all these, everything surrounding this up here to the north, everything is all single family. I'll use this. I won't try to look at the screen. You get all the single family, all up here is all, and up at the, even beyond this, up north is all single family. It's all part of this. This is just right in the midst of all of the existing Summer Tree neighborhoods. So just from an administrative standpoint for association management and everything, I feel like it's just makes sense for it to be rolled in with existing Summer Tree. If you would, when we come back for the next phase, which probably will be next month, okay, for the 50 lots, I think it's a much easier conversation to have about how can we make the two of them compatible to each other and yet have this more high restriction on rental, which again, I don't have any problem restricting the percentage on it. We have that in other neighborhoods where, but again, our goal here was to have there be no ambiguity because like the question is, well, what about the quality of the homes? What about no difference, same as what we're building in existing Summer Tree right now, same declaration, same part of the same association, everything to try to keep it simple and straightforward, not to try to make it any different or try to make it any better or any worse in the case of these particular 9 lots. That's all.
May I ask a question of Mr. Irack? It seems to me the homeowners association would have control over the language of the covenants and restrictions they've already accepted. That to change them now, I mean, that's more up to the residents, isn't it, at this point? Or have I got it wrong?
Joe
Joe.
stepped out, Laura. Joe stepped out for a minute.
Oh, well, then never mind. Or if somebody else wants to tackle that, it just seems like it's part of an HOA question more than it is plan commission question.
Well, I would, if the HOA is in charge of those homes, I'm gonna defer to Mr. O'Haley, he seems to have more knowledge, and that's what it seems like to me. If they're in charge of those lots, then it's their job to change the language, right? They're the ones that vote on it, right?
We'll defer to our attorney, our illustrious attorney here. But that, you have the public restrictions that we deal with, but there's private restrictions. That's a contract between the developer and all of the owners of that subdivision. That's an internal. We're looking at primary subdivision plat approval, and the subdivision control ordinance only says that they have to provide a copy of the restriction to it. That's it. We may not like it. We may, want them to tweak something in their good graces. If they're inclined to do it, that we don't like something that's so bad that we say, oh, there's just no way we can live with this. And then I'm not sure really what we can do. So I would defer to our illustrious counsel to make the call.
I was on the last issue we had before I realized that one's resolved.
So what is the issue? I did. What we're trying to do is, Laura had asked the question. The inner workings of the HOA and the declarations, it's a contract between the owners of the subdivision and the HOA.
That's correct.
And we, as a planning commission body, governmental body, subdivision control ordinance control. And our only requirement is that they provide us with a copy of the restriction. Now, we may not like them, we may not, care for them, but I would defer to you. What control do we have to change it?
Well, I believe we have limited control to change them because they're contractual between the homeowners and the association.
Limited.
Limited.
Limited. Okay. So they've complied with what they've done, they've satisfied, and again, primary plat. They provide all the concrete standards and all the requirements that we have pursuant to the subdivision control ordinance. Hey, we gotta say, we gotta approve it. We're just a ministerial act of, we're just a rubber stamp board.
I think there's accolades for board members that want to, to make sure that city and its citizens are covered. But I think from a strictly legal standpoint, where our hands are tied somewhat.
And I can verify, I have the recorded declaration right here, and this is the exact same language. I'm happy to show it to you if you want to take a look at it, show it to somebody, so somebody or staff can see. So take my word for it.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I think there's.
But, and they even go into great lengths to say that, if there's something in here that people don't like, and the homeowners association don't care for it, we defer to the city to go after them. We don't do that.
Yeah, we're not gonna get involved in that.
Well, I'm gonna have a question because there's a length of time when pretty much the owner, the declarant, is in control and appoints everyone.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that period is passed, and how do you blend that together? Do these guys, do they fall,
Well, we don't know if they have now these are the final lots of Summer Tree, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then you're gonna go on to Providence and stuff
Right.
after this. You're just finishing off Summer.
We're finishing off the existing, which was originally phase 3. This is 3B, which is the last of phase
Right.
3. And Josh, I just showed Josh that the language is exact. He looked at the recorded document. It's exactly section 1010. It's exactly on that page. It's
Word for
exactly
word.
word for word.
but it still says Providence Summer Tree. Okay, I'm just, look, I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to take a look at, and again, I just want, but
Well, the next phase.
in the next
And
phase.
in the next phase, what I would like to explore is the best possible arrangement where we could incorporate a restriction on leasing, similar to what you said, and still be able to provide the benefit to existing Summer Tree estates from a standpoint of as many people paying in and keeping all the assessments the same for management and everything going forward. I think it can be accomplished. But that gives me a little bit of time to talk to my attorney about the next
So
50 lots.
tell me this, so, I didn't pay attention to a lot of this language because it's stuff that doesn't concern us at all. But there is language after 20 years, then this happens, and for the first year, I think you guys control who is on the board and everything. So do these people fall outside of that?
No,
Because
no.
we're past 20 years.
They don't, they built the 20, you're focusing on exactly what we just want to make sure we've crossed our Ts and dotted our Is on. This was recorded in April of 2007. So
Okay,
20 year, we were inside of the 20 years to add this in, so we're comfortable with this. Okay, they typically provide in declarations for add-on properties. All this property was originally included as possible add-on. I'm not using the legal term, probably,
yeah,
but
so,
add-on property. And so we just want to make sure of that, okay? And I want to make sure that if we're doing anything differently on the 50 lots, okay? Because they're a little bit bigger and everything else, so I think there would be the ability to do that, 54 lots, whatever it is. We'll absolutely pursue that, and I will absolutely include a restriction in there. And if there's for any reason some conflict with being able to do that and still make this association work the way I think everybody wants it to, we'll explore that with staff. We'll make sure that we involve counsel from the city and everything, make sure that we come up with the best possible solution for that. That's okay. That work?
Well, your attorney is Greg Bauer, right?
Yep.
He writes the old talk stuff with the percentages and everything, so
Yes.
he's well aware of it.
Yes, he's well aware of
So
this.
just tell him,
Yeah.
hey, we'd like to have.
Yeah, and again, we have other declarations where we have put in a restriction in overall in a percentage. We've put a percentage in the past,
Right.
which again just makes sense. Keep in mind, Summer Tree is not a transient neighborhood. There, I don't know if there's any. I'm sure there's some homes being rented in Summer Tree right now that we have nothing to do with. There probably are. I don't know. But again, there's no. I couldn't tell you because it's not like they were a problem. So if they were a problem with all the investment we have out there in marketing, trying to sell new homes, I would know about it. Okay. And again, I'd be happy to consider a restriction on the phase 4, okay, property.
Well, before we move on from Mike, I would have to agree with you. I mean, because you say they just have to provide the restrictions, there's nothing we can do about it. But why would they have to provide them if there's nothing we can do about it? Why would you read everyone if there's nothing you can comment on?
Okay, so it's something objectionable that we want to have a discussion with.
Well, you say we can't, you just said we can't change it.
I don't think we take that.
I disagree because there's no,
Well, we could
Right.
request and ask them to
Okay.
change things.
All right.
but I mean,
The
at a,
subdivision code says they have to provide.
right, and at primary,
And then.
At
then if
primary, we can
deny it
change-
On the basis of that,
with it,
then we'll have a judge tell us that, well, yeah, you gotta provide.
well, it doesn't make sense to make them
It
provide
doesn't say
it.
provide them and have a frank discussion with them about it.
Why would we get them for review?
For discussion purposes.
Well, if we can't change them, why would you read them if you don't have any?
Because you have an issue right now you'd like to discuss with them.
Well, I'm bringing up the point of why we can't change it.
We can request you.
Yeah.
We can vote no if they don't want to, right?
Sure. And the
Oh,
judge
always
will tell you
ask.
that, no, you
Well,
can't.
Could always ask.
Well, and again, the other thing is sometimes the purpose of the review, make sure that there's no conflicts between the approved plan and what the declarations say, and make sure that the declarations reflect the approved plan and the zoning and all those other things, that there's not something in there that staff or somebody in the city would say, what? Like, you can't do that, you can't have that in there, whatever. So it's a great part of the overall process. We have no problem submitting them, and making sure that the city looks the
So
most.
I agree with
Yeah,
the fact
agree with
that,
the
that 2007 covers. If it says this, we have to accept it. We voted it in, we approved the subdivision, they built it, all the members that belong to the association, they're happy with it. But I don't agree that we have to approve it, we have to accept it in this one, because this is still employment.
And then they'll sue us and the judge will say yes.
Well, I'm not afraid of those.
Joe, help me out with this too, because I'm real serious. If Google, build to rent, and you'll see that this is a coming trend by national builders. They're building build for rent subdivisions.
Because the next generation is not buying houses. They're what the market demands, and that's,
Well,
so it's a deeper philosophy that we have to dig into about where we wanna go in the future of this city. Cause that's a fact, they're not. The next generation is not buying homes.
well, I would just throw back to you, you live in a subdivision where you have a lot of friends.
They're gonna buy all these and rent them.
Can we move on?
Yes, I agree.
And so what happens is, if we don't have this discussion now, and there isn't a way that we can say, yeah, okay, this was done in 2007, we need to go by it, and you guys will consider to try to work with us in the future. The next time we ask somebody about this, they're gonna sue us. You know,
That's
so
where the council will
that's
come
why.
in, or the city will have to rewrite ordinances or accept things like that. That's a deeper dive, Mike, and we're not gonna get it tonight, and I think we should move on from this, because we all agree that as it is presented before us, it's acceptable, we'll vote on it. But I do have a quick question. I don't want to take this any longer, but on that phase one, parcel one, outlot A, all easement and drainage, and
Yes,
is that, are there intentions to develop that, the lot?
no,
That's
no,
just gonna be open?
that just gets added into the existing wetland outlet that's out there, and that we maintain by the same association, which is existing, which is maintaining the area around it, which is another reason why it should all be part of one.
And that's gonna be, the HOA is gonna. Take
HO,
care of
it's
that.
yeah, that is correct. The HOA takes care of that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. I do have one ask, John.
Sure.
So we're going through the covenants, right? When it talks about driveways, it says they can be concrete, asphalt, or paved.
Right.
I'm just looking for a commitment from you, because you guys are gonna build these houses, right? And it's all gonna match with existing summer trees.
Yes.
I've walked that subdivision more times than I can count. It's in my district. I am 99.99% sure every driveway in that subdivision is concrete, and
Yes.
we're not putting asphalt driveways in. I would like to make sure that we're gonna match that existing. look
Yes,
there.
that is correct. We are offering
Thank
concrete
you.
driveways only. We are not offering asphalt.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I really have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
Now we're mixing apples and oranges.
Where is the playground, in this whole development? Kids?
There,
We've been doing these phases at a time.
It says right here.
Do we have a playground, because it's in the code. I mean, you can buy it off, with the magic formula, whatever it is, and pay money, or you have to dedicate land for. So where is that?
there is not an existing play area in Summer Tree. Okay, at this time. What I would like to do, okay, going forward is, when we come in with our next phase, there's this area, there's actually an area right on the north side of, I think it's 105th across here, right? Keep track. Let me see if I can get to the next page. Yeah. This area that shows unsubdivided.
But this is the last of the summer trees.
Right.
Where is the for summer? As required by the subdivision.
I don't believe, and I mean, there was ever one contemplated or planned for in it.
Where is the requirement? Gosh, is it not a requirement?
Is a requirement.
So where's? Your last chance to get it.
Well, I'll commit that we'll provide one. Okay.
Before
Okay.
secondary.
Yeah, before secondary. Well, I mean, again, agreed upon location, approved location, prior to secondary, if that makes sense. I just want to look at the engineering real quick. I think that this area that I'm circling right here would be ideal if I can't, if we couldn't find an area, and I'm just throwing this out to discussion, in the next phase to south here that makes more sense to provide one up in here. We looked up in this area by the cul-de-sac. Unfortunately, the original plan there was that that road was going to extend east and go across that wetland area. That was Dave Van Dyke's concept.
Yeah.
It never happened. It didn't make any sense, whatever. That the land falls off so much there that there's just no way you could put any kind of a play area there that would make any sense.
to me.
Hmm? Not that, and there's a wetland at the bottom of the hill, so even in the winter, it probably wouldn't be as much fun
But
as.
the alternative is they could pay money into the park system under the formula.
Right.
Subdivision
Yes.
controller.
Correct.
So if push comes to shove, and you have a place to put it, you just pay money
Yeah,
to the park department.
right.
Or
That's,
a park to be built someplace. else.
that's correct, but I personally, I
Or
think
you can
that,
make a really big park on your next phase.
I think it would be a benefit to the residents of Summer Tree if we could provide a spot out there to put some play.
Yeah. That'd be great. One of those cool- It's the kids. It's the children. Thank you, that's all I got.
Okay, any other comments, questions, arguments we want to have here?
Public.
So, would the public like to chime in on this one? We'll open the public hearing at this point. Please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and give your comment or question to the board, please.
My name is Deb Brumley. I live in one of the, on the north end, in one of the, what do I want to say, duplexes. And I am a recent owner there, a year ago. And the transition from Prestige to Providence has been a nightmare, as well as the ongoing construction with Althoff in the back. There hasn't been a playground that I understand that has ever existed there, knowing someone who also lived there and talking with other residents who have. I know people are online and will want me to express that we would like more communication from Providence. This is the first information that we've received about the building, except the houses are going up so quickly on that south end. We're having trouble with the garbage, picking up in yards, picking up at the front entrance, multiple trucks going by at all hours, sometimes 6:30 in the morning. It's not the neighborhood that I bought and moved into. I appreciate you're asking about the HOA. The covenants are there, but currently we've had so much trouble with the HOA. In fact, our representative there has now left because of the complaints that we've received. So I don't know where we go from here. Trying to figure out the best way to take care of Summer Tree at this point, because it is changing quickly, it's changing rapidly, and not the quiet neighborhood that it has been. We're concerned also about the exits in and out, not just with Providence, but with the Althoff. Traffic is becoming hard to get out on 101st because people, that's been increased. I speak for many people that I know there, from one end down where the new construction's happening to where I am at the entrance. So if there's anything that we can do to help us achieve our neighborhood over these next probably 5 years, we'd appreciate it. And appreciate any insight that you have. And I know that Providence has been brought out from a neighbor. We've worked through some other people on the committee here. And I know that I have talked personally with the HOA myself. And that person is now removed that we've had trouble with, but it's a mess. And it's not what the community now that I thought I was moving into. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else from the audience, public would like to come forward? We have anybody on Zoom?
No, sir.
Anybody else in the audience? Once, twice, 3 times, we'll close the public hearing, we'll bring it back to the board. Do you want to address her concerns?
Yeah, I'd like to really, just to clarify, and there was some indication of that. We spoke about this a few months ago when I was back here. When we purchased the property from Precision, prior to that, Precision was self-managing the HOA, both the estates, which we're talking about for the single family, as well as the duplexes. And in attempting for us to get a hold of that, it took months to get just an assignment to get all the legal paperwork done that would be required in order to give us the rights to be able to manage the association, which we did. We subsequently met with the estate's homeowners and actually brought with them, because they were, like, it's one thing for me to say it, but it's nothing to bring to them and say, look, here's the document, here's showing this is when I got the stuff. And within a couple of weeks, we had new bank accounts in place, everything else. We had hired a independent management company, First American, to manage it. Okay. I will say that, yes, there were some concerns with the person who was managing it. That person has been replaced. Okay. Personally, myself, some of my VPs met with that person at the time, along with some homeowners in a meeting, and we were not happy with the responsiveness and the information that we were getting. So there's a different person at First American now managing it. There is there's a budget in place, which there should be, which there should always be. The initial budget was, this is the first year of that budget. So again, not having managed it in the past, we did our best to try to go forward with it. We try to keep the assessments down as minimum as we can, but still be responsive to the things that are being asked about lights in the entrance that are not working properly, the fountains on the pond, stuff like that, which we have been all over, okay, and addressing. But it does take some time, because there was some lack of attention prior to some of these items, okay, which we've addressed. Okay, I feel like it's in way better condition right now. Not perfect, for sure. I can't speak to the Althoff traffic. We do not have construction traffic on the north by the duplexes out there, although I'm sure there is some going through from the old, where the parking lot used to be for the golf course there. But from a cleanup standpoint, we use, we're on our people, we're on our trades all the time to make sure we clean up. That's an existing neighborhood there. A large portion, I'm not sure if it's yet the majority of the residents out there are people that bought homes from us, although we didn't obviously build duplexes. And we try to stay on top of that all the time and be respectful of the neighborhood, what's going on out there. So I think the association is in way better management condition right now. We want to try to find the balance between keeping their assessments in check, but also making sure things are being taken care of. Things like, just so recently, I won't go on and bore you with it, but do we repair the pump on the pond for the fountain, or do we put in a new pump on the pond? Okay, the repairs are going to be $4,800 or whatever, new pump, etc. And there's going to be like $12,600 or something like that. And does it make with the current position of the HOA and what makes sense? We decided to do the repairs and forego putting in a whole new one. And it seems to be, knock wood, still the right decision. So there's hands-on management going on, even though it's an independent management company managing it. We're in constant contact with them to make sure that they're on top of it, and we expect that we have a real good handle on the budget at the end of this year.
How close are you to turning it over to the residents?
Well, we would like to make sure that it's in good financial condition and that there's a budget in place and everything on it. I think that we hitting that 20-year deadline, which is usually you put in for a kind of like an outside date, right? But when this was done back prior to the housing crash and everything, it seemed like a long time.
But don't
So-
you have a percentage of the lots when they're sold, it's the turnover to
Um,
the resident?
Not in the single family, in the duplexes, yes. And I think the duplexes is close to that, if not ready. But we also don't want to just, we didn't create the problem, and I'm not trying to bash Precision, okay? We took it over, okay? We've not built or come in for any permits for duplexes or whatever. On the contrary, we won't be. We somebody else building a we made sure that they're going to build exactly what was built there before when they do. So, but we just want to make sure that it's in good shape financially, and that these things that were problems in the past are addressed, and that because there's also a cooperative agreement between the duplex association pays into the estates, they have some shared expenses. And so it just takes a little bit of time to work all that out and make sure that it's correct. We've managed a lot of we've had a lot of associations we've created and work with management companies. And I think I can't speak to the construction and the construction traffic, particularly from another builder. Excuse me, but I can speak to the management of the association and it being in much better condition than it was a beginning of this year.
Review those restrictions that you referenced to Josh that are recorded. Can you send him a copy of those?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
If you would be so kind.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
How long do you think it's gonna take before all this settles down?
I would say that, when we get through a full year and then we close, complete the books, et cetera, which is probably February of 26. By the time all the final bills come in, everything is, we have an idea of what the actual association bills are. We were very focused on trying not to do, our initial reaction was just, are these assessments too high, too low? Typically, they're too low, okay? But people may not feel that way to the people that are paying them, but you want to make sure that all the bills are being paid, particularly insurance, those types of things that are really important. Again, we're kind of talking about apples and oranges because we've got the duplexes as well as the single family. There's two different associations. They work together. We are currently directing the management company for both, okay? And we need to make sure that both the master expenses, like some of the wetlands and entrances and things like that, that are paid by the estates, but with the contributions from the duplexes, that it's all coming through properly and that it's being financially managed correctly and the assessments are correct. You can say, why should there be a bigger reserve? Should there be whatever? But at the end of the day, this is their money. This is the association's money. This isn't Providence's
When did
money.
you take it over? When did?
Just beginning of this year. So, I mean, technically late November of last year,
Yeah.
but by the time we got the budget out and did all the things or whatever, so we'd like to get at least a full year under our belt from a standpoint of budgeting and just see, what are the real expenses? What do they come out to be? How much landscaping, how much maintenance is really required around the pond, things like that. So you got the big ticket expenses like pumps and those types of capital improvements or repairs. Then you just got the normal stuff, weeding, mowing, things like that. Again, I will also, for whatever it's worth, been, way less involved in most of our other associations than I have been in this one, just to make sure that it's, gets on track.
And I can tell you, I've had several conversations with Mr. Carroll on the phone, also with residents that live there, and this was a very strange turnover, right? So it was, people were looking things up and that, it was supposedly Providence's, and then you speak with them and they're like, it's really not, that I don't want to get into all of it, but there were documents that they were searching for, and this strung on for months.
Yeah.
So it was, it was kind of a limbo thing, and I'm not making excuses or pointing the finger. It was just a very odd scenario that doesn't typically take place.
It would have been a different story if you would have said 5 years ago.
Precision wrote checks out of the two accounts and said, here they are, here it is. Okay, well, we can't just take the money from the association because Precision writes a check. We have to have the legal authority to be able to open accounts in that name and deposit that money and do things like that. So we're checks that sat for months uncashed until we could get the legal stuff straightened out to make sure that it was all done properly. Because again, we want to make sure that it's all done right, which again, we do. And we've done many associations within Crown Point. as well as other municipalities here. This one was very bumpy, Chad. I agree, you know.
It's a strange set of circumstances for this one.
But it was not due to lack of trying on our part, I can tell you that. You know, and I actually brought correspondence to meet with some of the people and said, look, here's me begging for the stuff, and here's the actual date when we got the assignments. And it was like November of 2024. Okay, that's all. I think I addressed your questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anything further from any board member? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the primary plat, subject to resolution of the issue about the park. That we require. Further investigation of the paragraph in the restrictions with regard to paragraph 1010. If you want to investigate into that, we can take this up at secondary. I don't think it's a matter that's been laid to rest.
And we have Providence commitment to concrete driveways.
Yes,
About the play area.
yeah, I said
He's-
The paragraph of
play area.
pertaining to what, Ken?
10 restriction.
The restrictions.
Rental.
The rental restrictions. You can look into that.
Thank you, Ken.
We'll make it subject to, at secondary, we can resolve this and put this to bed. You can do your homework in the meantime,
Appreciate that. That's plenty of time.
but we won't hold you up on the primary.
Okay.
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I have further discussion. What are we gonna do about what, is there anything we can do about the HOA, traffic, or do we want to put a time limit on, Josh, or are you satisfied with what they're trying to do?
You mean our
Noise
the problems
ordinance,
that she brought up?
Yeah, because she's not the only one. I've heard numerous
Yeah,
complaints.
I think that's something that we probably need staff to look into.
Yeah.
And have ordinance officers out there to make sure things are being followed per ordinance, right?
Yeah, and if that entrance, if the traffic's too busy, if they want to think about a stop sign there.
We'll make sure our start and stop
Yeah.
times are right, you know, that we're cleaning up after ourselves, that we're not keeping mud out on the roads. We're actually going out there and making an effort to get things cleaned up. I mean, I think that falls on
Well, I will say Providence,
ordinance.
they pretty much sweep their streets every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that for a fact, so, as far as the mud and stuff, you're very on.
Thank you, guys.
I know you are, so. But I'm just, my thing is, we don't wanna keep adding to a subdivision and we got everybody complaining about what's going on. That's, so how can we, like I said, this lady's not the only one complaining. I've heard numerous complaints about some.
It's just a thought, John, and over the weekend when I was really studying some of this, and this'll put you to bed, reading some of this stuff, but, I Googled, Providence, Summer Tree LLC, and the reviews are not good. And look, we get a lot of people that come before us that say, quit building more subdivisions. This town's going crazy. Stop, I can't it takes me a half hour to get from the north end to the south end. We're not like that up here, but we are committed, I believe, to quality. It's not about stopping growth. It's about a quality of growth. And I guess, John, I would say, if they come back for another phase, and ma'am, if this stuff is still going on, then you're probably, well, I don't know, you may have a problem with this body.
I believe this that you are committed to trying to straighten out the HOA. I've seen you try to straighten out problems in your subdivision before. I know
Yeah.
you're committed, you're involved.
And the
But-
HOA has been, I mean, it is being worked. It's, I can't, the bulk of the traffic, particularly if you're living where this woman lives, is coming out of the development work and the construction coming out of the Altough neighborhood. Okay, it's generally, all of our stuff goes out onto Colorado and out of that area is where we're building for the most part. There isn't coming through there, which again is, you know, certainly a concern perhaps would be, but from a standpoint of cleanup and cleaning the streets and those things like that for existing construction, I think we've done a pretty good job on it. I would beg to differ regarding some of the reviews because there are people that are out there that are gonna make, you know, the loudest voices that, not that we don't have customers that from time to time are unhappy, but we address it, I think, pretty quickly. I think that there is I think that overall in Summer Tree, if you look at it, for all the homes we built there, I think people are pretty satisfied. I think we build a really good product. I think that your building department would agree with that going forward. Again, and if people are, you know, concerned, I can tell you that I'm pretty accessible as president and CEO of the company. And I can count on, you know, one hand, the number of customers that I've actually heard from personally that are not getting their issues addressed, and whether it's, you know, misunderstanding or whatever. But not that we don't have some people that are sometimes upset. You know, homes are built by people. Sometimes things go wrong, sometimes things break, sometimes there's a difference of, you know, expectation of what people should or shouldn't expect. Sometimes that's our problem for not explaining, setting the right expectations up front. Sometimes we drop the ball. But I think it's a matter of what you do about it that at the end of the day matters. And I think that I would hold up Providence's customer service and customer satisfaction up against any builder in Crown Point. So,
And I think that's what I'm saying. We agree. It's,
Okay.
you're,
Okay.
to deal with it, yeah.
Well, what I'd like to see is there a way, Josh, that we can get this lady's information and give her a call and see if we can look into these things and try to get this straightened out?
Yeah, we can even get staff and some inspectors on site, which, you know, normally when there's work going on, we try to get people out there as often as possible. But we can look at maybe having some coordination with PD, have some officers go out early in the morning. I mean, I can sit here and say noise ordinance says they can't start work until 7, but that doesn't mean they can't arrive before then.
But she also talked about heavy traffic on 101st, getting in and out of
Right.
these subdivisions. Let's look at everything.
And bear in mind, 101st isn't ours either. That's
Yes.
Maryville, so we don't have the jurisdiction over that.
I just think we ought to, all the complaints I've heard about this subdivision,
Yes,
I think that we need to take a look at it as a city and see if we can help get some of these. Me and Chad have done some stuff. I know some other people on the board have gone out to subdivisions, trying to straighten some stuff out
Yeah.
and been successful at it. So, you
and
know,
if
I'm
there's
just saying that we're offering to help you here so that this lady is more happy than she is right now.
and the nice thing is our department's been great at setting up relationships with neighboring communities. So we actually do have contacts and people we work well with in Maryville that would actually help with the traffic and the 101st issue. So we're not just fighting it alone.
Okay, that's a discussion. I just,
Yeah.
you know, I don't wanna keep adding to a subdivision that's, nobody can get out of their driveway. All right,
I sent
further
the
discussion?
declarations, by the way, to Josh already by email while you guys were talking.
any further discussion? Seeing none, call a roll, please.
Dan Haley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Rich Tag.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Next item of business is 2536 Timothy A. Briggs and Nancy K. Briggs, petition owner, requests a site development for an office building at 700 West Rail Drive.
Just the ones that do not have batteries. It'll just check your phone. Sorry, John.
No problem.
I'm not sure.
Paper copy.
Yeah, if you guys want to get started. Okay.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Andrew Briggs. My address is 8624 Madison Street in Maryville. Here with my dad, Tim Briggs, and my mom, Nancy. And this is Laura, a representative from our engineering firm. And we really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys tonight. We are very much excited on kind of moving forward with the construction process or construction phase of our project in Feather Rock, the commercial area lot 2A. And we are here tonight to seek the commission final approval to move forward with our projects. Our understanding is that up to this point, we've followed the proper procedure with the city of Crown Point, including getting approval from the various boards. And so we are looking for your final approval to kind of move forward with that process. I brought a rendering of the building. Did you get that figured out here? We have a paper copy. We have a rendering of the building and a bunch of other supporting materials. But really, you know, I believe that you guys have everything, and we just simply wanted to answer any questions that you guys have and, you know, address any concerns. And, you know, we really appreciate your consideration and looking forward to having a new home for the Briggs Agency Insurance Office in Crown Point here for a long time.
Here.
We got a exterior rendering.
Can you go back to Zoom? Yeah, sure. Should take a second.
So I don't know if you can, I don't know if I can zoom in a little bit here, but this is the exterior of the building. It's about 6,000 square feet.
5,000.
About 5,000 square feet. It's a 2-unit building. Briggs Agency, the plan is to occupy about 60% of the building. And then we're going to be looking for a professional office type of tenant to occupy our neighboring unit. As you can see, we've got a good looking building here, and we're happy to get as detailed as you want with the building, or answer any questions that you have. And yeah.
Okay, well, we'll bring it to Josh, some of the staff report.
Petitioner is requesting site development to allow a 2-unit office building in an OS1 office services zone. Property is located at 700 West Burrell Drive in the Feather Rock subdivision on the north parcel at the 3-way intersection of West Burrell Drive and South Feather Rock Drive. Parcel is bordered by OS1 to the east, west, and south, with unincorporated to the north. If approved, the structure would be used as a 2-unit office building, with Briggs Insurance being one of the tenants. Suite 1 would be 3,302 square feet. Suite 2 would be 1,725 square feet, for a total footprint of 5,027 square feet. The use is permitted, and there were no variances that were required. The use, structure, and impact are consistent with the development in the area. The plans have been reviewed by engineering, fire, planning, public works, and utilities, and has received approval from all departments. My department recommends approval of petition 2536.
Okay, we'll bring it to the board for any questions or comments. We've seen this project several times. They've always been have your act together, to be honest with you. So, Mr. Royale.
I have one question. Not that we hate monument signs, but you can't have a monument sign in the setback unless you get variance. So are are you committed to that monument sign there?
I don't think so.
I would say if it helps, when we worked with Stephen Fields at Avonmarsh, he had informed us that the monument sign actually was not going to be put in place.
It's just the lettering on the building.
Correct.
Can we get a new drawing that doesn't have the monument in? That's possible.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think everything else is in pretty good order. Looks good.
I would say that when we complete the building and possibly want to have a monument sign, can we come back to you and
Sure.
get approval
Sure.
for that?
Could always come back, but
Yeah.
Just have a hardship, because Mr. Roheli's gonna really,
Or just have it pass or
I
behind
know
the
they
building.
need one, they just put it over here.
I'll-
Once
I
it's
can-
outside the building line, you're good. Also, line of sight problem, I think we're gold. I don't think you have any line of sight problems in Rockport.
oh, absolutely.
Never have. That's all I have. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, you can always come back to the BZA. So, and, you know,
We're a happy group.
yeah. Yes, we are. Anybody, any other board member have any questions or comments?
I just real quick wanted, the landscape plan looks good to me. Has that been through the tree board, Josh?
Yes, and it received unanimous approval and almost a round of applause.
Yeah, it really is looking good. Thank you.
Or reduce the tier.
Okay, anything further?
We went ahead and make a motion to approve petition 25-36 site development subject to a clean drawing with the monument sign in the building setback on.
I'll second that. A motion and a second, any further discussion?
Dan Rohede.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes, approve 7-0. I think you'll be a wonderful addition to Crown Point.
Appreciate it very much.
It's
Thank you, guys.
It's been great working with this commission and I appreciate everybody's help.
Thank you.
We wish you much success.
Thank you.
You'll be proud of it.
Anything in this latest, anybody would like to bring up staff?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay, fine.
You guys talk.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.